Alrighty, it's your boy xBenv0liox here with my second competitive victory. This time I'm rocking the Lizardmen's Cult of Sotek. We're taking a look here at my Horned Ones, Elite Armor-Piercing Infantry, which I think are an ideal pick in a match against the Dwarves, who are heavily armored but not very mobile. So these guys are a perfect answer in my opinion to Dwarves. Maybe that's just basic stuff, of course, but hey, they worked pretty well in this game. So I'm rocking the Cult of Sotek. I'm playing against a player called Consul Tornow. He's playing against the Dwarfs. This is ladder matchmaking, 1v1. So I'm starting over here on my far left flank. Let's put up the info on these Horned Ones here. So yeah, like I said, they are armored and shielded, armor-piercing, predatory senses. Not sure what that means, but I'm sure it's pretty bad arse, being that they're dinos. So backing them up, I have my red-crested skink chief, my favorite generic lord choice, just because he's so cheap. And you can mount him on a cold one, so he's going to be riding in with the Horned Ones, buffing their leadership a bit, and able to stop any rampages with his calm the Wild Fury, whatever they call it. He's got an ability that'll stop their rampaging, which is great, and buff their leadership, which is great. So backing that up, that's on my far left flank over here on Chill Flow, the name of the map, by the way. Moving in towards my army more so, I've got my regular old Ancient Salamander, living artillery unit, ready to hork up some gobs of flaming bile onto my dwarven enemies and just kind of melt some infantry. It's my own little living flame cannon right there. So he's advancing again up my left flank. Going to try and get to a nice firing position up there on that hill. Fire into the army. Okay, moving in further inwards, Saurus Warriors with shields. They might be spears if I was facing any other faction with potentially large units, but as they're dwarves, none of them are typically large units. And there's better answers to their gyrocopters, so I brought just Saurus Warriors with their straight-up mace infantry with shields, just to get some staying power in against the dwarven infantry as kind of a nice basic infantry level. In the center of my front line are three groups of red-crested skinks with some chevrons pumped into them to up their stats. They're nice, they're cheap, and they got that armor-piercing value with the poison attacks, so they're good to bring for that AP value and just being affordable and just able to kind of swarm over enemy units if you bring enough of them. Backing them up, I've got one group of Temple Guards in the center of the line, ready to close with the elite Dwarven infantry and hold out as long as they can. So they're armored and shielded, armor-piercing, charge defense against large foes, and predatory senses, just nice high stat line, very high leadership, gonna stay in the fight for a long time against those stubborn old dwarves. So yeah, they're a usual pick there with the Lizardmen. And backing up the very front line, I've got two groups of skink cohorts with javelins, adding some ranged firepower, arcing firepower, gonna shoot over my infantry. And there's of course my other group of Saurus Warriors with shields on the far right flank. And then far out here, I've got a Saurus Scar Veteran mounted on a standard cold one. Armored and shielded, armor-piercing anti-large. So the anti-large I didn't really know, but he's just like kind of a solid choice. Might go with a skink chief later than next time, something more with anti-infantry, but he did pretty well in this fight. Again, offering that leadership buff to this other group of Horned Ones, which are going to swing around on the right flank and engage my dwarven opponent here. So without further ado, let's get into the action here. So I'm advancing. Pardon me, almost forgot. Should introduce my opponent's army here before we do that. So he's brought two cannons, anti-large armor-piercing artillery, one group of flame cannon. Definitely got to introduce his army here. One flaming cannon, you can see firing in, melting my one group of red-crested skinks already, very nasty. Buffing those artillery groups, he's got a master engineer with kind of buffs for any field artillery and ballistics, etc. I believe he's got like a stat like a ballistics expert or something, but he's just offering some nice leadership and buffs to these artillery crews. Surrounding them, he's got all iron breakers and longbeards forming kind of a defensive geometry with a Thorgrim Grudgebear in the middle. I believe it's 4 longbeards and 3 iron breakers, and the iron breakers have blasting charges. So they're going to huck exploding satchels at my oncoming troops, which are going to further melt these poor red-crested skinks, you will see in a moment. So now, properly, let's begin the action. So yeah, so this group of red-crested skinks probably not going to make it all the way into battle before routing. They're already routing from taking that horrendous abuse from that flame cannon, producing its desired effect. Those satchels from the iron breakers melting them even more, sending them back. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Yeah, ouch. So they're basically largely finished off. The group of Saurus Warriors with shields charging up, and the skink cohort with javelins charging up to fire in. Ouch, hucking in some javelins. at this group of Longbeards. Yeah, and still hucking in some javelins. But the group of Ironbreakers is charging through that gap in the line towards my Skink Cohort, with javelins. Going to want to pull them out, but the Temple Guard are already swinging in to intercept. So, and so they got to get those javelins out of there, but the Temple Guard are rushing in to take their place, isolate this group of Ironbreakers, and leave that front gap quite nicely open. Could have probably taken advantage of that with this would have been an ideal gap to get in with the Horned Ones right here, and then rear charge, and then go right into the artillery. However, I'm going for a flank attack, excuse me, to try and get in on the flanks, and getting a nice charge into this group of Longbeards with the Horned Ones and the Red-Crested Skink Chief, scattering them but pulling out because I don't want to risk getting stuck in as the Ancient Salamander fires into that group of Ironbreakers. I think he's got brought the cannons to bear on my Ancient Salamander. Yeah, are they still firing? I don't know, can't even tell. There they are, yeah. Ow, so they're trying to hit my poor Ancient Salamander with that anti-large buff, and that's draining his leadership, doing a lot of damage to him. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Wheeling around again with the Horned Ones coming in. The Saurus Warriors over here, meeting up with these Ironbreakers, who have taken some abuse from the Ancient Salamander, as are these Longbeards, softening them up for my Horned Ones to get in. One charge over here against a group of Longbeards, cycle charging, so I want to get all those charge bonuses into the Ironbreakers. I'm slowly just chewing up his back line. They're holding firm, but I don't want to get too stuck in. I think I'm going to try for a nice little rear charge into this group of Longbeards here, which is going to help these Saurus Warriors break through. Ooh, nice rear charge. Ow. That armor-piercing rear charge, hopefully going to help them out a little bit. This group of Saurus Warriors, the Ironbreakers have been weakened up against the Ancient Salamanders, made this a bit easier for them. I don't know if they're winning. Unit winning slightly just because their model count is higher thanks to the Ancient Salamander. The Red-Crested Skink Chief has gotten into the artillery along with some of the Horned Ones, but the Horned Ones are taking some abuse from this group of Longbeards. Are they have Longbeards with great weapons? No, just axe infantry. So again, you don't want to be stuck in prolonged combat because you see the Ironbreakers are just chonking them down. Oath of Vengeance being cast against, I guess that must be Thorgrim, which is, what's that, minus depleting their attack, so they're not going to be effective. They've been ran off. That's not so good, so that group of Horned Ones largely depleted, but I still have a fairly healthy group over here who are about to charge into this group of Longbeards here. This group of Saurus able to chase off these, or no, fighting with this group of Longbeards as well. The Temple Guard still hacking up this group of Ironbreakers. It's going to be a slow battle because it's both high leadership groups. This group of Longbeards is chasing off the Skink Cohort with javelins. I guess he set them to attack, and the Skink Cohort with javelins are just getting away, not letting them get in rage. The Ancient Salamander has rallied back here, but I haven't been able to bring him back in. I remember to go out and check for him, but I'm more focused on the engagement over here with the Red-Crested Skink Chiefs helping the Saurus Warriors and Red-Crested Skinks bring down the Ironbreakers, but unfortunately that's leaving them open for some Ironbreakers to get some satchel charges in. Some of the cannon crews, which have been run off their cannons, charging in with a group of Longbeards and Thorgrim. Maybe they run out of ammunition, but my Red-Crested Skink Chief is going to need help over there. Nice charge from this group of Horned Ones, getting some revenge on these Dwarves, helping to bring down this group of Ironbreakers, which the Temple Guards have been breeding down. I've got a couple groups of Skinks rallying, going to be bringing them back in momentarily. This group of Horned Ones largely depleted. The Saurus Scar Veteran coming to confound this artillery crew, which has managed to find a place to manage to get back into combat. The Ancient Salamander firing in again. This is great against, what was it? Yeah, against that group of Ironbreakers. Good target. Gotta disrupt them, bring down their model count, and do as much damage as possible. And it looks like this group of Horned Ones is going to come in and help the Scar Veteran clean up this artillery crew, as this other group of Horned Ones and the Saurus Warriors are mopping up the Longbeards. So there's a nice charge. However, he's still got a lot of strength on the field. Thorgrim is still at full health, despite everything else, so he can still potentially bring me down, especially if he can kill my Skink Chief, who I should be getting out of there now, because these Red-Crested Skinks, though they're fighting bravely, are going to be brought down, although these Saurus Warriors are still in there. Actually, no, it's pretty even, actually, because, yeah, and there we go, getting another charge. These Horned Ones, still enough of them around to just be a real menace. Saurus Scar Veteran getting into these Ironbreakers. And enough of them to be a menace. The Ancient Salamanders still firing in, but this group of Saurus Warriors still now outnumbered, I think, by the Longbeards. and the Ironbreakers, and they would be in combat, even combat. The Red Crested Skink coming back in, though, trying to help these guys out. One group of Ironbreakers wavering. Saurus Scar Veteran in kind of a bad place, though, because he's isolated by the Ironbreakers, and he might take quite a bit of abuse there. A group of... and the Temple Guard finally grinding down these Ironbreakers back here as this group of Horned Ones and Saurus Warriors are bullying this routing group of Longbeards, and going to try and bring these in against the Master Engineer, who's now isolated. Probably? I think I bring something against him, but the Saurus Scar Veteran and the Skink Chief are in a bit of a delicate possession situations, respectively. Going to want to get them out before they take too much more abuse. The Salamander has used up all its ammunition, I believe, so now it's going to be attacking melee, but it's done some good work bringing down those dwarves. The Saurus Scar Veteran in trouble, surrounded by dwarven warriors and Thorgrim. He's not in a good place. He's being popped, Foe Seeker, but that was not really an ideal for him right there. Bringing the Horned Ones in to bully the Master Engineer now, stop him from firing, force him into melee combat, limit his effectiveness. The Ironbreakers have finally shattered, and the Skink Javelins and the Temple Guard are going to come in to join the fight, so things are looking pretty dire for the dwarves now. Meanwhile, in the woods, there's still a group of Skink Javelins being chased by this group of Longbeards. They just had their own little fun romp through the woods. I wonder if they became friends or something. So the Ancient Salamander now charging in, bringing that melee attack to bear now that it's out of Fiery Hork. Ooh, and sending some dwarves flying. It might be brought down, though. He doesn't have any Slayers, but even Thorgrim can probably do some decent work against it. But there's some Saurus Warriors there to distract the other Dwarf Infantry, these remaining Ironbreakers, and this group of Saurus Warriors able to kind of cover up the Ancient Salamander's hitbox, protected for a little while. But Thorgrim, if he's directly focus firing, it may still bring it down. And the Ancient Salamander, it's routing. It looks shattered. Yeah, it's done. Okay, so in comes the Red Crested Skink Chief, who's rallied back in. Now going to try and bully Thorgrim Grudgebearer. Going to pop, I think, a buff there. The Scar Veteran has joined the Corn Ones in bullying the Master Engineer, effectively shutting him down. There's a group of cannon crew over here, but they're not going to be able to do much good as the Temple Guard now close with Thorgrim, who's going to be completely surrounded by Angry Lizards now, as is the Master Engineer. Popped something to buff their leadership, trying to finish off this Master Engineer. Don't want him to fire any more shots. So now it's basically just a question of bully circling Thorgrim into submission and securing my second ladder victory, of which I'm unduly proud. I probably don't deserve to be so happy, but I am. There we go. I won. Your hairy little men failed you, Consul. Alright, let's take a look. Alright, so yeah, so Ancient Salamander, 36 kills. The Horned Ones did a decent amount of work. 84 on this group, 23 on this group. 68 on the Temple Guards. 87 on and 58 on the Saurus Warriors with shields. So pretty good. 17 on the Scar Veteran, 41 on the Skink Chief. 32 on the Red Crested, 32 and 9 and 1. So that 1 was the group that must have gotten melted right at the beginning. The Javelins, these Javelins just got to have a merry run through the woods being chased by this group of Longbeards. Got 49 kills. The Ironbreakers did pretty good. The cannon, 65 kills. The cannons did, that flame cannon did a nasty amount of work. It's like basically a mechanical salamander. And the Ironbreakers, apart from that, did a lot of the work, as well as this one group of Longbeards. It was an exciting game, you know, well played to my opponent. Definitely made me earn it. It was a Pyrrhic victory, but it was pretty satisfying to take a victory out of that using those Horned Ones. Could have found some better gaps with them maybe, but I still think not too many mistakes I want to kick myself over in this one. So that's another game there. Let's put the boys back home. This is your boy xBenv0liox saying keep it real.